Tearscape wears its Bloodborne-inspired look openly, but the moment you start moving, it reveals a structure closer to old-school Zelda, built around compact rooms and tightly arranged encounters. The game opens with a short tutorial that introduces its core systems, which is attacking, rolling, running, healing with flasks, and the map system. Rolling doubles as a dodge and a traversal tool, letting you cross small gaps which ties movement directly into exploration. Progress revolves around statues scattered throughout the world. Interacting with one saves your game automatically. Resting refills your health and flasks while respawning nearby enemies. You can also level up here, trading tears dropped by enemies for stat increases. There are only 4 stats, and each upgrade increases the cost of the next. I tried focusing heavily on strength early on and ended up dying frequently, which pushed me toward investing in stamina and vitality just to stay alive. Navigation depends on a map you assemble yourself. You have to find map fragments to fill them in. Even once expanded, the map stays minimal. It shows room layouts and connections, but it doesn't indicate locked doors, unresolved paths, or points of interest. There are also a handful of hidden rooms that never appear on the map at all. While the map doesn't indicate all of these, it does let you place pins manually, so you can mark areas yourself as you encounter them. I relied on the map constantly to reorient myself, especially as areas became more interconnected. The map told me where I was, but rarely helped me decide where to go next. The world is structured room by room. Each space is compact, with fast transitions between them. Health and stamina sit in the lower left corner of the screen. Stamina drains with every attack, roll, or sprint. Once it runs out, you're left exposed. Death drops all your tears at the location where it happens. You can recover them by returning to that spot. Because enemies respawn after resting at statues, recovering lost tears often means replaying several rooms. Longer stretches between checkpoints make mistakes costly. Puzzles are spread throughout the world. Some block progress, others reward exploration with items. Solving them usually requires observing your surroundings or noticing details in nearby rooms. Just a warning though, some of the puzzles are very difficult to figure out. You'll also find tokens that grant passive effects. Only 3 can be equipped at a time and only while resting at a statue. Choosing which ones to use becomes part of how you approach combat and exploration. Weapon variety does most of the work in combat. Different weapons have different ranges, attack speeds, and angles. Some thrust forward, others swing wide. The character is left-handed, which affects how attacks line up. Being slightly out of position often results in a missed hit and immediate punishment. Enemy design reinforces this. Shielded enemies force you to reposition or attack from the side. NPCs appear throughout the world in small numbers. Some provide bits of lore. Others offer quests or rewards. A few are openly unreliable. One tried to sell me something questionable. I refused and broke all their pots. Fast travel unlocks between statues you've already activated. It helps, but later areas still involve a lot of backtracking. As the level design becomes more complex and interconnected, dead ends appear more often. Shortcuts aren't always available, which means revisiting the same rooms repeatedly, especially when searching for unfinished paths. Defensive tools expand combat further. Using a shield reduces incoming damage while draining stamina. Timing it just before an enemy attack triggers a perfect block that negates damage without costing stamina. Some boss fights require you to engage with this system directly, while others can be handled through rolling and spacing. Weapon choice also matters. I had to switch weapons for certain bosses to keep up with their patterns. As you progress, you'll also unlock exploration tools that expand how you move through the world. These open up previously inaccessible rooms and paths, often recontextualizing earlier areas rather than just pushing you forward. Ammo or usage limits keep these tools from becoming throwaway solutions, and tying their refresh to statues keeps exploration looped back into the core systems instead of feeling separate. The difficulty stays fairly high throughout the game. There's no clear defense stat, and most enemies deal significant damage. Trying to focus entirely on offense didn't work for me. Adjusting my stats and approach became necessary to keep progressing. I finished Tearscape in a little over 9 hours, reaching 93% completion. Enemy variety thins out as the game goes on. Zombies, skeletons, and bats appear frequently across different areas. Backtracking becomes more noticeable in the later sections. There are no invincibility frames after taking damage, which leads to situations where you can be hit multiple times in quick succession. I also ran into a few technical issues during boss fights, including moments where I became stuck or respawned in a bad position. Another issue I had was with the ending. I can't say much without spoiling anything, but after everything the game builds through its world and characters, it left me a bit disappointed. I enjoyed playing Tearscape more than I enjoyed finishing it. The combat and dungeon design kept me engaged, and the retro presentation, especially the music, consistently pulled me back into that older action-adventure mindset. Over time, the friction around navigation, repetition, and payoff became harder to ignore. But for its price, the amount of time I spent with it and the fun I had along the way made it feel worth it. If you enjoyed this review, like the video, subscribe to Boss Room Banter, and share it with someone who enjoys smaller, deliberate games. We'll see you in the next one.